Snipers, you have to see what's happening into the cryptocurrency market this Saturday as we have a candle low of 47,000 at the monthly open. And this is no surprise. We know this is the extremely important support level that we want to hold if we want to get to 49,700. And so I'm liking what I'm seeing. It's the weekend. It's the most manipulated, which means that there's a likelihood if we gap up enough that we could see price action back to the downside as we start to see the traditional markets open up on Monday. Of course, we want to take everything on the weekend with a grain of salt. But right now, inside of this range, I think that this is what we talked about yesterday. We had this bullish flag formation, and I wanted to see this breakout because a breakdown would have shown a lot of weakness. And now the question is, could we get to 49,700 and retest this extremely important level? Because if we do, that's a very positive thing for the bulls, knowing that we've already tested it once, tested it twice, broke above it. Of course, this was on a weekend as well. And then we came down, coming back to this level, knocking on this door for a third time. The likelihood of this opening and doing it with some more decisiveness becomes more likely. So that's what we would want to see, preferably for the bulls. And that would be an amazing path for Bitcoin to take. But I'm glad this broke out to the upside because at least we know that even if we come down to the weekly open at 46,000 again to retest this level, that there's at least some strength here. And that means that if we come to 44,800, there's still some possibility of volume coming in. It's still very light volume, which means the path of least resistance is always going to be sideways to a little bit higher. And so it's a positive thing in the more micro time frames. In the more macro time frames, what we could say is that Bitcoin is probably going to just be range bound for some time now, maybe into the next month or two. And if that's the case, that sideways price action may actually garner some more opportunities in the altcoin market. So that's going to be interesting to watch. But if we come down to 47,000, again, of course, breaking this level is the first sign of concern. We come to the weekly open at 46,000. That's another sign of concern. But 44,800 is the real major support right now that we want to stay above if we want to still assume that 49,700 is on the table. And with Bitcoin range bound with light volume, our altcoin thesis with Ethereum showing weakness has actually been true. So this has actually put Ethereum in a position now with the US dollar value in which Bitcoin came up, it dropped short term, and then it came back up, broke out from the previous high, but Ethereum failed to do so. So we came up to 36.50, but this time Ethereum is only able to come up to 35.30, which means it's not performing as well against Bitcoin on the micro time frames. And so when you're in a macro thesis of Bitcoin dominance in the early stages of reversal, this is the type of stuff that if we see more often on the micro time frames, also will confirm the thesis that altcoin season has possibly come to a halt for the short term maybe, and Bitcoin dominance is ready to move to the upside, and we're going to see more of these altcoins not perform as well if we continue to see downside action in the market. So I think that was a huge puzzle piece. Now, if Ethereum can stay above 34.54, I think that would only happen if Bitcoin can maintain 47,000. Then that's a good thing. If Bitcoin breaches 49,700, the likelihood of this coming back up towards 4,000 becomes high. But realize this: if we start to come down, that's when this Bitcoin dominance is going to matter, and Ethereum could see further downside if Bitcoin breaches 47,000, and now that's when you start having the altcoins really affect your portfolio and bleed your portfolio out in a different market phase, right? That you may have not have been expecting because you were so used to altcoins just always doing well when Bitcoin does well, and when there's a drop, it's no big deal. This time it could start being a big deal. I mean, look at Ethereum. It did not get to come up back to these highs while Bitcoin was able to and actually exceed the highs that it got to in the more micro time frame. So that's, I think, something interesting to keep in mind. And with that, Bitcoin dominance is still being monitored closely now. If we get above the monthly open, we could start to see some momentum at 42.55% dominance. And with the altcoins outside of Bitcoin, we are seeing weakness, exactly what we'd expect to see with the thesis that Bitcoin dominance is ready to move up. We failed to form new highs from the previous highs in May. That's a major macro puzzle piece. And now we're starting to see the likelihood of this actually being the confirmed trend in the more micro time frames based on how Ethereum, for example, is performing. And we can even look at maybe Cardano and some other altcoins. And I'm sure we'd see something similar. So interesting time. I'm not going to go through traditional markets. It's the weekend, of course. So we will cover them more later, but just remember the DXY did close slightly to the upside, and it was showing some strength, but nothing yet that would really affect the markets in my opinion. But the S&P 500 is very interesting. It's at an interesting point below this 50-day moving average, where we've been able to actually recover from this level many times in the past. So we want to really see some recovery, as soon as possible with this S&P 500 chart, to assume that there's nothing abnormal here. But if we start to come down to this 100-day moving average at 43.30 for the S&P 500 E-mini futures contract, then that would be a concern. So thank you all for tuning into the Snipers channel today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I will be heading out to a destination that I will share with you tomorrow. And so I may not have a video exactly in the next 24 hours, but just bear with me. We'll definitely have another video out in the next 48 hours, let's say, just depending on this 17-hour flight and how that goes. So wish me luck on that. Thank you all for tuning into the Snipers channel today. Until next time, Snipers out.